Welcome back, everybody. It's Paul Maglev here with another episode of Train Valley 2. Now I know what you might be thinking, and yes, it's been too long since the last episode was posted. I'm sorry. I never planned for that to happen. In fact, I had set out on the contrary. But more on that later. So let's sum up the level and get straight to the updates from there. The drainage level requires us to drain this lake and build a connection to the lathe factory. All of this while juggling scheduled trains loaded with copper ore and crude oil on the outermost circle of track. The task was easier said than done because the map design refused to let me build track connections in the way that I normally do as a creature of habit. This combined with the topography made determining the best track design the most difficult part for me though. So in the end, the drainage level is the only one I could not solve on my own. And I was quite impressed with the change in difficulty between this level and its precursor. Some game updates that occurred since the last episode are worth detailing regardless of how little they shape game mechanics. The main one that stood out to me was that the game model for passenger cars has been replaced with a new model. Large lettering has also been added to the game for avid level designers, and a few bug fixes have also occurred. There are still plenty of other updates to come, according to recent developer posts, and the community of players like me look forward to seeing them. There are a few reasons I did not post a video sooner, the first being that I was not satisfied with the original voiceover. The script didn't feel right and the quality was unsatisfactory. I tried to satiate my perfectionist tendencies by formulating plans to run the scripts through some text-to-speech generators because it was so bad. But even that did not satisfy me, so I went over to a website called liarbird.ai, whose artificial intelligence could take recordings of my voice and reverse engineer it to read out any statements in my own voice, but the quality was extremely poor, lacking any sense of tonal depth or inflection, and the speech it generated sounded like I was talking through a tin can mounted on a string. Assured that the only way to get decent audio was to do it myself, I decided to try some more conventional methods of improving this voiceover through better control of my breath and by changing some of the adjustments I do in Audacity. This way it would sound more personable, less monotone, and less resemble garbage. Perhaps an explanation for why my video quality standards have changed is in order, because rambling was more than sufficient to me in my older content. It might have to do with the new degree of self-consciousness I lacked earlier in my channel's history. One that stems from a hardening of my perfectionist tendencies, which I'm pretty sure I'll be able to get sorted somehow, some way, but that's beside the point. Meanwhile, in real life, my family helped my brother move out on his own, and will continue to do so for the foreseeable future. I was initially confused about why he needed our help, since he wasn't moving too far away, and both my parents were able to move out on their own when they were at his age. My dad, for example, was able to move across the continental United States multiple times without any help whatsoever. So why would my brother need help just moving down the road? Furthermore, why would he need new furniture, cutlery, lighting, dishware, and other amenities to fill up his new living space when there was plenty of that in his original bedroom and the collection of hand-me-downs that we have stowed away at a storage facility? I was worried about the implications since I had other matters to tend to this month, like posting videos and preparing for the GRE, but now I realize I expected too much from my brother when I should not have. This led to rampant speculation in a previous script about why he needed our help, but the principle of Occam's razor held true, because the simplest explanation for why he needed our help was simply the best. Our help was justified since moving out was simply easier said than done. Something I wish I knew before spending the last few weeks helping my brother out here and there. Progress was at its slowest when the apartment was barren at the start, but after multiple trips to the closest IKEA and a trip over to the storage facility, we managed to fill up the majority of his living space. This was strangely my first time visiting both an IKEA and the storage facility, and both events warranted a video unto themselves, but those stories are best told in another video and another day. The only thing missing at this point is a TV and the Nintendo consoles from home, so he routinely comes back to our place to play certain games he can't with his PC, have home-cooked meals, and to watch some shows with my parents. It's an unorthodox arrangement when compared to conventional stories of moving out, but it seems to work out for everyone because my brother gets what he wants, and my parents get to see him virtually on a daily basis, which is what they want. Will he continue to want or need this in the immediate future? I am not sure. Nor am I sure what will become of his original bedroom at home, since my parents and brother had conflicting plans. This month was also filled with some good news and some not so good news. First of all, I can safely say that the ginkgo tree growing in the terracotta pot in my backyard is still alive. Each year I deliberately accelerate its winter senescence by not watering it. It sounds cruel, but these were the instructions I originally followed back when I watered the deciduous plants in my previous work. Since watering during the downpour of California's wet season poses the risk of oversaturating the soil it grows in, leading to root rot and other infections that usually follow. The ginkgo must be granted more attention now that spring is here, especially since the rains will quickly cease and the yard will eventually be redone in the summer. It also means the large cactus by the house must also be moved as well. The other fantastic news came from my parents' insurance company, where the proverbial insurance gods deliberated and officially said I can stay on my family's insurance plan after turning 26. After months of speculation and anxiety about the fate of my health coverage, I can finally rest assured that my coverage is guaranteed. No longer will we risk shelling out the upfront costs of medical expenses or depend on getting the same coverage with a slightly higher premium through Cobra. Not that one, the other one. Pokemon Sword and Shield are also coming out soon for the Nintendo Switch instead of the Nintendo 3DS and 2DS consoles. This makes sense from a technical standpoint, considering the Switch has similar portability to the 3DS and 2DS, but with more processing power, better cartridges boasting improved storage capacity and a smaller profile, and a large screen instead of two screens awkwardly stuck together. It might also make sense from the standpoint that Nintendo's handheld systems are dated, and murmurs have persisted for over a year speculating about their inevitable retirement. It might also make sense from a financial standpoint because producing a game for one console using one game cartridge is easier than making two separate ports for the same game for separate consoles, which Nintendo has done several times before. Either way, here's hoping the games are still good, and I look forward to catching up with the newest generation of Pokemon and playing the game with my friends since I skipped the Sun and Moon generation. I also managed to sell and ship my first eBay listing this month. Handing the package over to the post office on a Saturday was easier said than done, however, because I forgot they did not open on Saturdays until 10 AM, even though I had left the house much earlier than that. St. Patrick's Day also came and went. Our household upheld its Irish traditions by making corned beef, cabbage, and potatoes for dinner, like always, but this time I avoided the corned beef and potatoes due to those newfound food sensitivities I keep mentioning. I still have no idea how to reconcile that contradiction because this makes me feel like the least Irish person ever, despite that making up a decent portion of my cultural heritage. The last thing I should note is that the first official retraction of a video segment on my channel is now complete, which was something I mentioned wanting to do for some time. I originally called it a retcon, but the actual term I was looking for was retraction. You might or might not remember an unnecessarily edgy internet meme shoehorned into episode 6 of my Let's Play for the beta build for the original Train Valley. I refuse to mention it by name because I know it is more messed up than the conventional expletives I used in that same video. In retrospect, I remember why I put that there, but that does not justify its use in any manner. All I know is that the internet zeitgeist from that time period the video was originally uploaded in was much darker and edgier than YouTube or I would want people to experience today, let alone experience ever again. Long story short, the meme accompanied a bit about my frustration about no longer being the first search results for YouTube for the original Train Valley. To me, it is necessary to learn from my mistakes, and part of which requires eliminating offensive material and the harm it can do in the future as best as I can without destroying the integrity of the content's original message. The only way to do so currently without deleting the whole video and its statistics is to cut the segment out using YouTube Studio Beta. Admittedly, this retraction might disrupt the pacing of the video, but the fact that this meme wound up in there instead of a more wholesome meme meant it might have never made much sense to begin with. So go ahead and take a look at this footage if you care to, because nobody will get to see or get hurt by this mistake ever again. And trust me, you won't find it in the Internet Archive. I've already looked. Anyway, that might just wrap up this video and its vlog-related updates if I do say so myself. It was not easy to do because there were over 20 minutes of game footage to work with, and I wanted the length of the voiceover to match the gameplay so its audio can be incorporated into the video, undistorted like the previous episode, but I guess I couldn't do that, oh well. With that, I will see you in the next video, and until then, take care, stay awesome, stay true to yourself, and remember to never give up. Bye everyone!